Welcome to LollieTasking with ADHD. I am your host, Dr. Lollie, a multi-passionate mom of three, a physician, and an ADHD life coach because, like most of you amazing women listening, I have ADHD. Join me as we chat about how ADHD affects our lives and learn strategies to help us all thrive, not just survive, with ADHD so we can live the life we want while accomplishing all our goals. Let's get started. Welcome to LollieTasking with ADHD. Again, I am Dr. Lolliday, a physician and an ADHD trained life coach for all easily distracted women who are just ready to start accomplishing their goals with ease. So, before we get started, I want to give a shout out to my dear friend Kelly, who left a review saying, I am so proud of you, Dr. Lola. You're doing such an amazing job. I look forward to this weekly podcast. However, I didn't hear you last week. What happened? So I thought this was so interesting. I wanted to share it. So everybody knows I'm Miss Productivity and I love to plan, but I have basically been recording this podcast weekly as the spirit moves me. The reason why that's a good idea is because I go based on like what you guys tell me, what you guys ask me, and it's very audience driven, which is amazing. The reason why that is not good is because sometimes people do get sick. And I've been sick for over a week. The fact that I'm not coughing right now is a blessing. So I just want to thank you guys for being understanding. I figured you didn't want to hear me hacking and coughing all through the recording, and I'm sure you could probably still hear a little bit in my voice that I'm still recovering, but I'm at a very better place. Which leads me to the topic at hand, guys. So, this last week, it's been so amazing. Just not amazing, I was sick, but amazing that I've been forced, when I say forced, to rest. I typically would have like rest built into my time, but I feel like my body has just been chronically exhausted. So, when I got sick, my body was like, nope, you are going to rest. Absolutely, you're not doing anything but rest. So, which leads me to this idea of overcommitment, okay? And when I think of overcommitment, I think of the persona of the boss lady, right? You can be a boss lady without being without overcommitting, but for example, I have this persona that I talk to people about. I said we ADHD folks, we can be somewhat like a boss lady. We're great at volunteering to help. Um, but we can become overwhelmed and have no clue why we added more stress to our life. And then we're like, yo, I could barely keep up with the work I have right now. What was I thinking? And then we end up having what I call mental overload. And then we're tired of being the only one that must get everything done. So, of course, we think about all the things that must be done. And because there's so much to be done, we end up sitting in ADHD paralysis. And guess what? We get nothing done. Who else can relate to this? So, we don't want to get to this point of ADHD or paralysis. So I think it's very important we talk about this idea of overcommitment. This again is going to be a very short episode. And before I get to that, don't forget if you have loved our podcast, please go ahead and just go ahead and leave a review right now. You can listen while you're leaving the review. I would appreciate it. It motivates me. It encourages more people to hear our podcast. And oh, guess what, guys? We have had over 1,000 people listening to our. I think we're at 1,500 now. Listen to our podcast, and we're only at episode 11. So thank you all for liking it and sharing and continuing to promote the podcast and telling people about it. Okay, so what is overcommitment? Overcommitment is this ability for us to just want to do everything. And everybody knows that no one can really do everything, but don't tell that to an ADHD person. Our mind tells us we can do it, so we do it, right? Especially if it's something we are interested on or if it's something that has significant value to us, okay? So why do we even overcommit? So number one, we have time blindness. Um, what is time blindness? Time blindness, for those of you that haven't listened to prior episodes, I think I talked about it before. Time blindness is this idea that we have no concept of time. Our time is right now or later. It's really hard for us to estimate how long things would take us to do. It's really hard to estimate how much time into the future we can plan into. It's just time is just not we understand the concept of time. That's not what I'm talking about. But our brain doesn't have the ability to um put time in a practical sense when it comes to goal planning. Okay? So, remember ADHD, we have a hard time understanding and knowing how much time commitment things can happen. So, we've said yes already. And in our mind, we're like, oh, they just need me to be a director of something. All I'm going to do is oversee the meeting, right? Not really thinking about, well, every time you go oversee the meeting, you're spending 2 hours, and that's 2 hours you already don't have, right? Not even thinking about all those extra things or the preparation for the meeting, like how much time that will take you. So now you've committed, and now you're the director, and now everybody's looking at you like, Dr. Lala, what are you going to do? So that's one. Number two, we are what I call warrior saviors. People who say we're social justice warriors. We're always at the side of the truth, and we love to fight for the underdog. Okay. In addition to loving to fight for the underdog, the reason why I say we're warrior saviors is like we also love to help, and part of it is a little bit ego, and part of it is a little bit selfishness. Because in us loving and caring for other people, we have a release of endorphins that makes us happy. And we know when we're happy, we have increased dopamine in the synapse of our brain. So we always love to help. And it's always one of those things like, if no one else would do it, why can I do it? All I'm doing is helping them, right? So we volunteer and we over volunteer. Okay. And then part of us wanting to help is not even thinking, is there anyone else that can do it? So we just become impulsive in saying, yes, we can do it. Whenever we're asked to do stuff, we're always the first ones about, okay, yeah, I got this. Or sometimes we even wait a little bit, but if nobody says they have it, we're usually the one to jump in to say, I got it. Um, in addition to that, when we are asked generally, that's not even bad. What is really bad for us to say no is when people actually come to us and they believe in us and they believe that we can get things done and they specifically ask us to do something, it is extremely hard for us to say no. And we end up being impulsive and just saying yes before we can even think about it or thought deeply about it and how to go about it. Okay. So, number one, time blindness. Number two, warrior savior. Number three reason is our memory. We literally forget like how much we already have on our plate. Or we forget we now are having more responsibility, so we can't do those other things. And then we just keep adding and adding and adding more to our plate. and trying to shove things in between the spaces that we're supposed to be resting. And we know how rest helps our ADHD significantly. So I would advocate for rest anytime over doing more, especially when it does not align with your values. And then the last reason is we always have this: what if I miss this opportunity? This impatience for us that, okay, if we miss this, there won't be another one out there, which is not true, right? There's always other things out there. But those are the four main things I have noticed personally, that has made overcommitment so easy for me to do. Because, when you're impulsive, when you feel like you gotta help everybody, when you have memory issues, I mean, not memory issues, but when you forget that you've done something or have committed to other things, it tends to breed to mental overload and mental um, tiredness and exhaustion, which leads to physical tiredness and exhaustion. Okay. So, you guys know, I'm not just going to tell you all the issue without giving you answers. Yeah. So, how can we help with overcommitment? Number one, you need to look at your value. Do you have a value system? Do you have a vision for your life? Do you have something that you say, okay, these are my goals, these are the things I'm going to focus on, right? Is it in your vision? Is it in your goal? Is it in your value system? Just because an opportunity comes along the way does not mean it's not a good opportunity. But the question is it in your value system? Is it elevating you? Is it in your vision? Is it in your mission? If it's not, then why are you doing it? Because at the end of the day, you want to be able to focus on your priority. When you focus on your priority, then you're able to succeed faster in the plans that you have for yourself. So you don't want people wanting you to help you be a distraction to your overall goal that you are trying to get to. Okay? So number 1, what's your value? What's your priority? What you got to say? Number 2, I want you to think about who. When someone comes to you with something to do, the next question, other than yourself, should be, who do I think would be amazing for this role? Who do I think would be perfect in order to help whatever help that's going on that is necessary? Okay. So when you think about the who, there's a part of there's an ego part of you kind of let go, right? Because it's like, I don't have to be the one to do everything. I don't have to be the jack of all trades. I don't have to be the one to be the head honcho on every single aspect of things. I could certainly delegate some of those things to other people. And then number 3, when people ask you to do something, how excited are you? Are you yes? Are you hell yes? After you've decided, is it within your value? If it is, the question is, are you excited to do it? If you're not excited to do it, I recommend not doing it, because all it's going to bring you is anxiety and mental exhaustion. So, number 4, we need to set and honor our boundaries. And what boundaries am I talking about? I'm talking about your rest boundary. When you commit to one thing, you actually lose time. You lose the ability to do other things when you commit to that one thing. So it's very, very important you set time for, okay, this is my rest time, this is my siesta time, this is my time where it's just my me time. And just because I have that space does not mean I should now replace it with more things to do. So Rest time should truly be rest time, because I see all the time when people take vacation and then they use it to do other things, or they use it to help other people. I'm not saying don't help people, but we all know if we don't rest, it doesn't help our ADHD. Okay? So that's number 5, rest. Rest is very, very important. And I want to give you a bonus additional one, because I know this is more than 5, but it's very important and it's worked for me. Have a if and then personality. And what does that mean? If I do this first and I succeed in this, then I'll be able to do this other thing, which allows you to do one thing at a time and also allows you to be present within a certain box. Okay? So, I like to read our quote of the day for you. It said, "We overcommit because we don't want to disappoint, but then we disappoint because we don't want to overcommit." So it's very, very important that you don't disappoint us. It's very, and when I say disappoint us, I mean yourself. Do not disappoint yourself. Because when you don't want to disappoint other people, then you are stressed and tired. So the most important person you should really think about is yourself. So, and that's it. That's it. I told you this was going to be a short one. You can hear it in my voice. My throat was adapt badly. So that's it for today of LollieTasker. As you know, on today's episode, we discussed overcommitment. Out of everything I've talked to you about, I want you, if you could just take one of them and implement it. And I want to hear all about it. Okay? So, again, thanks for hanging out with us on another episode of LollieTasking with ADHD. Don't forget, follow us at IG at LollieTasker and email us at hello@lollytasking.com. And please, please, please leave a review, and you may just get a shout out on a future episode. All right, till next time, remember you can do it too, with some planning, a little bit of balance, and a dash of determination. This is LollieTasking. Thanks for hanging out with us on another episode of LollieTasking with ADHD. If you like what you've heard today, I would love for you to click the subscribe button, rate, and leave a great review, in addition to sharing with your friends. Your review allows visibility and also allows other amazing women to find this podcast. Also, if you have any questions or topics you would like for us to discuss, please contact me via direct message on Instagram at LollieTasker or email us at hello@lollytasking.com. Till next time, this is LollieTasking with ADHD.